All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our header using this opening PHP tag right here. I'm going to go require. Okay, I don't really see any material difference between those two options. I'm using some code completion, but nothing in here is abnormal or special in any way. Just adding this require statement. I'm going to close out this PHP tag right here because what's going to follow is all going to be HTML up to this point. So this is just going to bring in our nav bar. I'm in the login.php page because we need to have a baseline. We need to have the skeleton of what our login page is going to look like before we start adding styles to it in our CSS page. And then after we've got all the style hooked up and it looks nice, we're going to go and actually build out the business end with the functionality in the login helper. So first thing that we're going to do is we're going to build out our main tags. And I'm going to close it out right here so that I make sure I have my opening and closing tags. Directly inside here, I'm going to make a link to our style sheet. So it's going to be link rel equals in double quotes style sheet. And then href is the same thing as path. So this is wherever it's going to. Remember, we have a CSS folder right over here, which you may have trouble seeing, but it's there. And we have a login.css page. So it's going to be css/login.css. Some of you may have had issues where you weren't getting the styles applied. It's almost always going to be a path issue or a typo somewhere. Make sure that this path is the way that it is. So the way this works is our login.php page, the page that is calling this style sheet right here, is in the root folder, which is CS230. So from there, it's going to go into our CSS directory. And then from CSS, we're going to be grabbing the login.css classes and everything else that's associated with the style components for this PHP page. So that's how that path works. The reason that it looks different if I go into, for example, our includes folder and I use like the sign up helper right here, where I have this, oops, I'm misspelling right there. Sign up. The reason I use these two dots right here is because I'm going one page back. I'm going one level up. So that's what the two dots are. It's the same as doing CD down here. So I've got this terminal pulled up. If I want to go out one directory or up one directory to the desktop, I'll do CD and then two dots. And now I'm in the desktop. But if I just want to go to CS230, I do just like that. No dots, no forward slashes. That's how it works. This is assuming that your directory structure looks like mine does, that your file structure looks like mine does. All right. So anyway, oh, that's from someone else. I should take that out. Anyway, that was from when I was helping someone. Anyway, after we're done with our link right here, what I'm going to do to get that nice background cover is I'm going to make a div. I'm using some code completion because I'm lazy. And inside this div right here, I'm going to make a class. Watch that code completion is, and that class is just going to be called background-cover. All right. Now inside this div right here, I'm going to have a container, and this is going to have my carousel in it. For right now, I'm just going to put a picture. I'm just going to associate a picture with it. So I'm going to use info completion. Just going to type in div. The class for this one is going to be container. This is also a Bootstrap class that is defined. You can actually look up the specifications. So if I do Bootstrap carousel right in here, the first link will be this Bootstrap website, getbootstrap.com. So what's going to happen is there's going to be some examples of how everything is rendered and everything. This one has controls. So it has indicators. Indicators are these little white tabs at the bottom there. I thought that those are neat. You can have captions on there if you want. So there's a bunch of different options here that you can choose. I think I went with this. So we're just going to copy and paste this. And we will add our images as appropriate. So inside this container class right here, so there should be 4 div tags so far. 2 opening, 2 closing. All right. Yeah. Let me just paste this and make sure that everything's kosher. All right, that's fine. Right. Yeah, that's fine. So we don't have any of these images right here. There's just dots here for the source, so it's not going to be anything. We can try and serve this. Oh, that's caching it from the example that I had. Let me just pause this and I will just delete that cache. All right, I'm back. So if I reload this, you can see this is more or less what it looks like starting out here. We do have the Bootstrap stuff that's being applied. That's why we've got this stuff going on up here in the nav bar. We don't have any pictures going on right now, so that's why you just have this going on. But I will try and just iteratively show you what's going on as we're going through this. In the meantime, I suggest you find 3 pictures, and I will just look at meme templates right now. This is going to be C1. This is going to be for the carousel. This is going to be C2. And this is going to be my C3. So anyway, if I go in my images folder right here, there they are. The source for all of these is going to be images. That's the name of this folder, because again, remember, we're in the main directory right here, so we're just going one level lower to images. And then first one's going to be C, and I'm going to copy and paste this to all 3 of these guys right here. And just going right down the line. kind of just like assembly line style. I've got, first one's a PNG. And the next one is going to be a JPEG, JPG. So just watch out for those file extensions. At this point in the course, you should basically just be running into spelling errors. All right, neat. So now we actually can see we have this kind of functionality going on right here. We've got these things right here. One of the issues that I'm running into at the moment is that these images are different sizes, as you can see. So that's fundamentally unacceptable. We want these to be roughly the same size. I'm going to probably go with something maybe even a little bit smaller than their natural size. This is pretty pixelated. It's partly because of the resolution of the image and partly because I don't know if it's being blown up at all bigger. So anyway, what this alt section right here is if your photo doesn't render for whatever reason, this is the text that will be displayed instead. So this indicator section right here, those are those 3 white lines. So right here. So this basically just links it. Going back to slides 0, 1, or 2, this is very standard indexing right here, like how it is in every other programming language that I can think of off the top of my head. I'm sure there's some logical language that's different and special, but no one cares. So anyway, except for Mr. Reeser, and he's a good guy. Anyway, let's see. This is just the controls for the carousel, which you can kind of get from reading this part right here for the class. Those icons are just chevrons. That's what this icon is right here. It's called the chevron. Anyway, there's nothing too terribly special about this. What this W-100 is the width of its enclosing of its parent container, of its parent div in this case. It's going to take up 100% of the space. I don't remember off the top of my head what dblock does. It's just another Bootstrap class. It has some stuff applied to it, probably margin, and probably just the way that it's displayed like that as a block. That's pretty much it for the carousel. Let's see. Let me just think. So we're going to be done with our container right here. The next part that we're going to put in is going to be the actual login portion itself. I'm going to do a little bit of formatty stuff in here by formatting the PHP or the HTML in here. So I'm going to format the HTML in our PHP page by right-clicking, and there's that option right down there. If you don't have this option, it's an extension. It's a very useful one in my opinion because it does all this stacking for the divs, and that can be very, very useful. So we're going to hop still inside this background cover that's going to be kind of like our parent class, like if you're excluding main. So I'm going to just close this. I don't have to keep scrolling up and scrolling down for a little bit. All right, so we're in our background cover, and we're going to make another div right in here. And the class for this one is going to be a little bit special. So we're going to do an H-40 class, and what this means is it's going to take up 40% of its parent's height. And we're going to apply some centering qualities to it with this center me class, which you should have some familiarity with. We used it in the CSS in our signup page as well. So we're going to copy and paste that into our into our login.css. So that's going from our signup.css to our login.css. And this background cover is going to be basically the same. I called it something slightly different, I believe. No, I didn't. Background cover. All right, great. So I don't need to change really anything for that. We're going to get a little bit more mileage out of these classes. We're going to be applying some different attributes to some of the stuff though. And this will allow you to make special mods to the login page if you want it to be different. I'm going to just see what that looks like right now. And I've got a feeling I don't have that picture. I don't have that picture. That's why it's not showing up. Okay. I need a main BG-2. So look at suite of background images, which is okay. Kind of disgusting actually. Ugh, too much pink. Here we go. Meme background. Oh, there we go. That's the one that I got from last time. And I'm going to save this guy as our main-bg-1, I believe. Can always change the name later. Oh, main-bg2. I'm going to make that -1. And I'm going to also change it right here as well. Right. Let's see what's going on in here. You can always inspect, and you should be able to see what's going on here. Oh, JPEG. That's probably not the same extension. JPG instead. I see. Boom. Boom. So what I did there to pull this up is I right-clicked. I'm in Firefox right now, I believe. Yeah, I think I'm still in Firefox. Yeah, I'm in Firefox. And I did right-click and inspect. And this will pull up this page right here. And if you go up to the upper right corner, you'll see I had these two little errors that are going on right here. And I pull those up and I look down here in the bottom in the console. And it'll tell you 404 not found, which means you screwed up. And if you look carefully, you can see, oh, that's a JPEG. Okay, it's weird. I know I have that image in there somewhere. Okay, so why isn't it there? Well, turns out it's JPG instead. If I reload this, oop, that's our CSS. If I reload this, there we go. That's a hideous looking page right there because it's covering up its face. I'll rethink that background image perhaps later. Okay. All right, anyway, back to our login page. So we've got this piece right here that's going to be centered, right? And it's going to be taking up only 40% of the page. So what's going to happen is this is where we're going to bring in our centering along the y-axis. So it's going to be vertically centered. So it's going to be another div inside of here. And the class for this one is going to be, oh, my-auto. So this is going to be margin along the y-axis. It's going to be set to auto. And this is where we're going to bring in the form from our sign up page. We're going to little copy and paste right here. Except it's not going to be a sign up form. We're going to just, actually, we're just going to grab the form. I'm going to grab this form right here in its entirety. I'm going to copy and paste that. Make sure that you get from the opening to the closing tag. And I'm going to paste. All right, and then the form class itself is going to be sign in. And we'll be able to apply some special formatting to that. Okay, and the action is going to actually be login helper-helper.php. Method's still going to be post. This h2 is going to be login instead. So go through and check that stuff out. You can leave someone a message telling them to log in, sucker. All right, and then we don't need their first and last name. So this form group right here is pretty well useless. We just care about their uname, and we're going to make it -email so we know that it can be used for either. And then we're going to delete this email. And this is going to be a text type because we're going to accept either their username or their email. It has to be required. And then the placeholder is going to be username/email. This is just like that temporary text that's going to go in there until they start actually typing. Password. We're going to only have one of those guys. That should look pretty good. Yeah, and we're going to also have not that part right there. We're gonna add a little how to have it. Yeah. Yeah, we'll leave that for right now, and I'm just gonna format the HTML. All right, and let's see how this looks. Oh, that's neat. And I need to change up the font, and I need to change up the background of this guy right here so I can see it. But otherwise, that's looking pretty good so far. All right, cool. Going to do some of the CSS here as well. Let's see, what am I going to do? For our form-sign-in, we're going to do form-sign-in. Right there, that's that class. We're going to give it a little bit of padding, which is the space between objects within there. Yeah. And then we're going to do text align is going to be center. All right, cool. Let's see. For our input fields, we're going to leave a little bit of margin on the bottom. And that's going to just be 10 pixels. You can modify this, change it up to be however you want. We will also, change up some of the centering and stuff. For the form sign in, the background in this one is going to be beige. I never really remembered what beige looks like. Oh, it's not too bad. Now the text is centered. Looks pretty nice. I'm gonna curve this up a little bit. And that's gonna be the border radius right there. I'm gonna make that 20 pixels. Let's give that a go. That's pretty good. That's not half bad. This covering up his face is not ideal. Still, I want you to get a little bit of experience using the carousel. Play around with the image sizing. What I'm gonna do is for that, we're gonna do carousel dash inner and dot item a image. What I'm doing is I'm applying these to a whole bunch of different classes and items. Some of these are applied to elements, the A element and the image element. The width is going to be 100%. I may change this up. Margin is going to be auto, but the height is going to be, I think the smallest one I have is something like 200 pixels. Let's give this a go and see what that looks like. That's awful. Right? See. Okay, so in order to fix the width of these images, I suggest you just do it to the image element. You can kind of fix this. The height of this guy is going to be like, I don't know, like 400, let's say. I'm using max width and max height. This just sets an upper bound on these things. I didn't really change anything else. This really will just require you to play around with it a little bit. I suggest getting ones that getting images that are roughly the same size so you don't get this jumping around. That's something that I'll probably do. There is a way to kind of fix it. And that's to not have this W100, this width 100. What you would instead do is you'd have MX auto, which is the margin along the x-axis. So if I apply that across the board here, the width is constant. The height of these is jumping a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in here and make this max height like 200. Oops. Yeah. All right. So the height's consistent across these now. I could change up the width. I could also just get different photos, and that would be good. So in general, this is kind of like what I'm looking for this week. A login page right here, background image going on right there, autofocus on each of these guys, which you would have had. And, ooh, I gotta change up this register right here as well. It's gonna be login instead. Add some more nice CSS, add some more pictures. If you want to add more images on your carousel, you're just going to create another carousel item, so you could just copy and paste this, for example. And you're going to have another one of these guys right here. And this is going to be index of 3. Okay, and now if I just reload this, now as you can see we've got 4. This has 2. I think I pasted this out of place. Anyway, that just requires some fiddling around. We'll get to that in the next episode.